The US government just used weapons export law to switch off an AI model. And the reason why is even crazier than that sounds. On June the 9th, Anthropic launched Claude Fable 5, built on its Mythos family, alongside Mythos 5. These were not incremental updates. They were among the most capable frontier models the company had ever shipped. 3 days later, at 5:21 p.m. Eastern, the Commerce Department issued an export control directive. It barred all foreign nationals from access, including Anthropic's own non-citizen staff. Think about that. A US company could no longer let its own employees touch its own model. Unable to selectively wall off foreign users, Anthropic disabled both models worldwide within hours. As of late June, they are still offline. An entire model family pulled off the board by its own government. It is the first time a frontier model has been switched off by the state. Then it got stranger. The Economist reported that NSA and Cyber Command Chief General Joshua Rudd told Senator Mark Warner something alarming. He said Mythos broke into almost all of our classified systems, not in weeks, but in hours. Now, to be clear, that line described an authorized red team test under specific simulated conditions, not a real-world breach. Anthropic says the same capability exists in other public frontier models. But you can understand why Washington panicked. The backstory. In March 2026, the Pentagon flagged Anthropic a supply chain risk after it refused military use for mass surveillance and autonomous weapons. Anthropic sued. Now, bipartisan members of Congress are demanding a written explanation from Commerce by June 26th. And while Washington panicked about one AI, millions of people were quietly installing a different one onto their own machines. While the government panicked about one AI, millions of people were installing another one onto their own computers. It's called OpenClaw, a free, open-source, self-hosted autonomous agent built by Peter Steinberger. It was renamed twice, ClaudeBot, then MaltBot, then OpenClaw, after a trademark complaint. And unlike a chatbot that just talks back, this thing actually does things. It connects to WhatsApp, Telegram, Discord, and Signal, and executes real tasks through more than 100 agent skills. You message it like a friend, and it goes off and works. Booking calls, writing code, triaging your inbox, all from a single chat window. That's why it exploded. It became the fastest growing repository in GitHub history. It passed 250,829 stars on March 3rd, beating React's roughly 243,000 and Linux's 218,000. By late June, it sat near 380,000, once gaining 25,310 stars in a single day. Put that in perspective. React took 18 months to hit 100,000 stars. OpenClaw did it in 8 days. Then came the spin-off, Maltbook, a social network where the only members allowed are AI agents. It hit 770,000 agents in days and 1.5 million in a week. And left alone to talk to each other, the agents started inventing a digital religion. Andrei Karpathy called it the most incredible sci-fi, take-off adjacent thing he had seen. But here's the part nobody screenshots. A remote code execution flaw, CVE 2026-25253, left between 30 and 42,000 instances exposed, 93% of them with no authentication at all. That means anyone on the internet could walk straight in. Your messages, your files, your connected accounts, all of it reachable. For a tool this powerful, that is a staggering amount of exposure. And remember, most of these were run by people who just wanted a helpful assistant. It's a brutal lesson in how fast convenient becomes compromised. An attack called Claw Havoc then flooded the skill registry with 1,184 malicious skills, about 20% of the entire marketplace. And Maltbook leaked over 500,000 API keys through a single passwordless MongoDB database. So yes, it's genuinely powerful, but it's also genuinely dangerous to run unsecured. The maintainers themselves warn non-technical users to stay away. And one of those viral demos, it was a full movie trailer that cost about $4 to make. One of those viral demos was a full movie trailer that cost about $4 to make. On June the 16th and 17th, xAI's image-to-video model, Grok Imagine Video 1.5, went generally available on grok.com and through the API. Here's how it works. You feed it a still image, and it turns that single frame into moving video. It generates 6-second 720p clips with native synced audio in about 25 seconds. That synced audio part matters. Most rivals make you bolt on sound separately. This one bakes it in. For a solo creator, that's the difference between a weekend of editing and a single click. Then it hit #1 on the image-to-video arena, up 52 ELO over version 1.0. In blind tests, where people picked the better clip without knowing the brand, it beat Sora 2, Veo 3.1, Seedance 2.0, and Kling. And here's the real kicker, the price. $4.20 a minute versus Sora 2 Pro's $30. That's about 86% cheaper. So a tool that wins on quality also undercuts the entire field by a landslide. Suddenly, a believable trailer isn't a studio budget, it's pocket change and an afternoon. To show it off, Elon Musk posted an AI-generated trailer for the Iliad, Troy, made by David Thompson, the creator known as Heavy Pulp. It looked like a real studio teaser. It pulled more than 18.4 million views on X. 18 million people watched a movie that no film crew ever shot, and the timing was no accident. OpenAI had discontinued its Sora consumer app on April 26th over the brutal economics of compute, leaving a vacuum for Grok to fill. No actors, no cameras, no studio, just a prompt and a render. For the first time, a blockbuster look is something almost anyone can afford. The barrier to making something cinematic just collapsed to the price of a coffee. What used to take a crew and a quarter now takes a single afternoon. But before you cancel your film budget, 2 caveats you should hear. Grok's image tools drew federal lawsuits and regulators in the US, EU, UK, and Canada over non-consensual imagery in late 2025 and early 2026. And on pure resolution, it tops out at 720p, while rivals already hit 1080p. So America is losing the video race on price, but it just lost something bigger on principle. While America banned its best model, China gave its best model away for free. In June, 3 big open releases dropped almost at once. GLM 5.2 from ZAI, also known as JIPU, released June 16th under an MIT license with a 1 million token context window. That MIT license is the whole story. It means anyone, anywhere, can download it, run it, and build on it commercially. No permission required. Then Kimi K2.7 code from Moonshot on June 12th and DeepSeek V4 Pro. And these aren't toys. GLM 5.2 scored 62.1 on SWE Bench Pro versus GPT 5.5's 58.6. SWE Bench measures whether a model can actually fix real software bugs. China's free model beat America's paid flagship. Read that again. The giveaway outperformed the product you pay for. It also hit 74.4% on Frontier SWE, right near Claude Opus 4.8's 75.1. All at roughly 6.8 times cheaper output, $1.40 in, $4.40 out per million tokens. For a startup watching its cloud bill, that gap is the whole decision. Nathan Lambert of Interconnects called it a DeepSeek moment for agents, one that, in his words, well exceeded the original. And with Fable 5 banned, that MIT license makes GLM 5.2 the default frontier model for any developer locked out of US models. One analyst called it a severe economic dagger, aimed straight at America's AI lead. Ban your best model at home, and the world simply switches to someone else's. But free has fine print. GLM 5.1 had a documented production degradation event, and self-hosting 5.2 needs 8 or more H100 GPUs. It is not free to actually run at scale. But for most developers, simply having the download is enough. You don't need to serve millions to change what you build next. And for a generation of developers, the future just got a lot cheaper to access. When the floor drops out of a market, everything built on top of it shifts. Money is moving, and so is the talent, for $2.7 billion. Google paid $2.7 billion to bring this man back. He just quit, for OpenAI. On June 18th, Noam Shazir joined OpenAI as lead for architecture research. If the name's unfamiliar, the work isn't. He co-authored the 2017 paper, Attention is All You Need, the paper that introduced the transformer. Every model you've heard of, ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, is built on that one idea. It's now cited more than 250,000 times. In AI terms, he didn't just join the field, he helped invent it. He was also co-lead of Gemini, Google's flagship. Back in August 2024, Google paid $2.7 billion in cash to license Character.AI's tech and hire him and Daniel DeFreitas back. $2.7 billion to bring him home. He lasted under 22 months. 22 months, then gone. Altman posted, "Noam is one of the people I have most wanted to work with since the very beginning of OpenAI, only took 10 years. And he wasn't the only one moving." It coincided with AlphaFold's John Jumper reportedly heading to Anthropic. When talent like that walks, the market notices. Alphabet shares fell about 7% on the Exodus narrative. In this market, loyalty now has a shelf life measured in months, and the most valuable minds in AI are the ones setting the price. A single researcher can now move a company's entire roadmap and its stock price. But the most unsettling thing that happened this month wasn't a hire or a price war. It was a free download anyone could grab. There's now a free tool that rips the safety controls off an AI in under 10 minutes, and anyone can download it. It's called Heretic, built by Philip Emanuel Weidman. Every major open model ships with guardrails, the refusals that stop it from helping with genuinely dangerous requests. Heretic automatically strips those guardrails out, a process called obliteration, from open-weight models like Llama 3.3 and Gemma. No specialist hardware, no real expertise, under 10 minutes. A laptop and a coffee break is all it takes. No black market deal, no dark web download, just an open repository. The hardest part of misusing these models is no longer the technology. It is a sobering reminder that openness in AI cuts both ways, and the results are exactly as bad as you'd fear. A Financial Times investigation on May the 25th found decensored models that output instructions for a chlorine gas attack and working credit card malware. And this isn't fringe. Heretic has already produced more than 3,500 decensored models, with around 13 million downloads. 13 million downloads. That's not a lab experiment. That's distribution at scale. It even compounds. A 2026 Nature Communications study found reasoning models can jailbreak other models by themselves at a 97% success rate. One crucial clarification, so nobody panics about the apps on their phone. This only affects open-weight models. Server-side models like Claude and ChatGPT aren't vulnerable to this, unless their weights leak. If that number scared you, the next one might. $3.6 trillion. The three biggest IPOs in history might all happen at once, from companies losing billions. On June the 1st, Anthropic filed confidentially, off a roughly $965 billion last valuation. A week later, on June the 8th, OpenAI confirmed its own confidential S1, $852 billion post-money, with some targets reaching toward $1 trillion. Goldman Sachs and Morgan Stanley are underwriting. Two of the biggest names on Wall Street lining up behind it. When the underwriters line up like that, the listing is rarely far behind. This is the biggest bet in tech, and it's being made in public. If even one of these lists, it resets what a tech IPO can be. Decades of records could fall in a single season. Now zoom out and the number gets almost absurd. Bloomberg pegged the combined AI and space IPO pipeline, including SpaceX, at about $3.6 trillion. And here's the tension sitting underneath all of it. OpenAI is reportedly burning around $27 billion in 2026 on $25 billion plus in annualized revenue. It is spending more than it earns, and racing to go public anyway. Investors are being asked to fund the burn and trust the curve. OpenAI's own statement was almost a shrug. We recently submitted a confidential S1. We expect it to leak, so we're just announcing it. It may be a while. So keep your expectations calibrated. These are confidential filings, not scheduled listings. Polymarket priced an actual OpenAI IPO by end of June at about 4%. And after all of that world-shaking trillion-dollar drama, a startup says it built a collar that translates your dog. And after all of that, a Chinese startup says it built a collar that translates what your dog is actually saying. It's called PettyChat, a 27-gram collar-mounted device billed as the world's first real-time pet translator. The pitch is simple. It listens to your dog and tells you what your dog means. It claims 94.6% accuracy and translation in 1.2 seconds, trained on more than 1 million samples. And people bought it hard, because of course they did. Who doesn't want to know what their dog is thinking? It's the perfect viral product, equal parts adorable and completely unbelievable. Whether it works or not, it tells you exactly where consumer AI is heading. On Kickstarter, it raised 1.14 million Hong Kong dollars from 882 backers, 29 times its goal, with more than 10,000 pre-orders. Polymarket even spun up a market amplifying that 95% accuracy claim. There's a fitting tie-in here. ElevenLabs has a text-to-bark model that jokes 95% of dogs can't tell it from a real bark. But take the headline number with a big grain of salt. That accuracy figure is an unverified company claim. No published methodology, no independent validation. It might genuinely work, we just can't prove it yet. Funny enough, the voice narrating this entire video is AI, made with ElevenLabs, the same kind of tech behind that talking dog gag. If you want to make videos like this, the link's in the description.